Storytelling in a small town. Welcome back to Storytelling in a Small Town. Yeah. We're looking camera. Everyone spike the camera.
Like, where is it?
It's the holiday season when we're recording this, in case people couldn't tell. So make sure you come by and stop and see this yourself. It's pretty awesome. You two haven't even gotten to see the full experience because I was too busy trying to get other stuff done before we got started. But come check it out. It's a lot of fun. I'll turn it on here before you guys leave. But
Humbug.
Well, humbug.
No, I'm just kidding. Come see it. It's amazing. Come see it.
I'm way too out of it today for this.
Feels like you're on a pogo stick, right? Like,
Right. Yeah, you're just like bouncing around crazy.
It's just like bouncing everywhere.
Yeah, it's wild.
Last
time on Storytelling in a Small Town.
We talked about how do you create your origin story, right? How simple it can be and just ways to help prompt and bring that up. So building off of that, there's also a lot of other stories to tell. And I think one of the best storytellers that you can have for your business is actually your customers. And I'm just curious what you all think about that, or any examples you have of how customers have been the best storytellers for a business.
I mean, I think the one, like the obvious, the obvious answer, right, is you can use your customer stories to demonstrate your service level for other people, of course. This is like on the basic level, right?
Elaborate on that a little bit.
So I feel like this is really common, in the creator world, right? But it's not necessarily super common in other areas, but our name is attached to the work that we do frequently, or our company's name is attached to the work that we do, or we're in the credits or what have you. And so you're going to take, that work and show it to a potential client as part of, your portfolio and say, here's, some of the breadth of what I've done in the past. So there's kind of like that ground level of of how you're going to, tell that story about yourself and other clients that you've worked with. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I think I've been to so many how to build your business workshops. Or no, I haven't been. I've networking events and chamber meetings and referral groups, and all of this is always about like how to get more 5-star Google reviews, because 5-star Google reviews are like the pinnacle of like feedback from a customer. Because it legitimizes your business.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of like proves that you do good work, all that sort of stuff. And then businesses realize, oh, I can pay for my friends to leave me Google reviews, or I can like fake a lot of Google reviews,
sock
and
puppet accounts,
whatever. Yeah. And
bots
so
and all
then it
kinds of
becomes
stuff.
like, how do you really get a customer's experience with you to be able to like say, no, these guys are the real deal. They are who they say they are. And this was my actual experience. And so that concept of like your customer gets to tell your story. It's like you can say who you are all day long until the cows come home. But if someone else is saying that about you, like that's what proves it in a lot of people's eyes.
Yeah.
And so how are you getting the customers to tell your story? And can they see it through their interaction with you is a big gauge on if your culture is actually true to, you can say your culture is one thing, but are people actually reflecting that when they're talking about you?
Totally. I think it's kind of like that old saying, people won't remember what you said, but they'll remember how you made them feel. If your customer relates their experience with your business in a manner that reflects the experience that this potential customer wants to have with the person that they're going to work with, that's a pretty solid sell for you, I think.
Yeah, just having that story, like you said, connecting it to the values and the culture and everything you're saying, tells a lot, right? Because when we're, as a business owner, when you're doing storytelling, you want to connect with people. You want to have that emotion. Like, that's why we call it storytelling. It's not advertising so much as what we're talking about, right? Like, there's different ways you can do it, but no matter what, you want that emotional connection that comes with a story. And having someone else say, hey, this is how I felt doing this, is a lot better than you trying to tell people, hey, you should feel this way about it. It just hits different and it just feels more genuine. Like, and it's can be so impactful. Like, one example I had for my business, I'm trying to storytell and like show this off and help out and just like let people know about it and new services I'm doing. And I had a friend come over. She's great. Courtney of Maple and Moss. Thank you, Court. She came over and did a video, walked through and posted it. And I got like 7+ new follows just from her video.
Nice.
So when you want to talk about the power of someone else telling your story, again, she just has more people. She has more credibility in that social influence, but she did so much in just getting people out there and letting new people see what I am and getting my story out there of like, hey, look at this cool space where you can come and enter a winter wonderland in downtown Snohomish. So that's a fun one. And I think what are some maybe more creative ways too that people can use their
I
customer
Yeah,
stories?
it's funny. While we were talking about it, another one that stands out to me, and I guess it's kind of industry or organization specific, I suppose. But I think in a lot of nonprofits and community focused organizations, businesses that do more community work and things like that, having having your employees be advocates for you can be super super powerful. I've done several projects where the folks who are really down at the ground level working with the people they're serving are able to speak so incredibly passionately about whatever their topic is. There's almost nobody that can do better aside from one of the people who is receiving the services. But I think it can be depending on what the service is, it can be in really poor taste to try to market somebody's experience, their whatever life situation that they have going on as to use that as some sort of tool is kind of a gross thing to do.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like your next layer up is to go to that person who is directly working with those folks who can explain the intentionally awesome impact of whatever it is that they're doing. I think it's hard to beat that type of advocacy also in that situation anyway.
Yeah.
It's like your next tier up.
And I think businesses can also use that, in terms of just, like, recruitment of people that they want to work in their organization when they have employees talking about the work culture and what it's like to be an employee there and how they support you and all that stuff. That just attracts people who want that kind of environment to work for you.
Hmm.
And so I've noticed a lot of businesses that I've worked with have used that as a recruiting tool because they're like, we want a certain standard of someone who shows up and they're, you know, meet XYZ criteria of what we think a good employee should meet. And we really want to honor the people who are doing that. And so you can storytell around that to then attract other people who might have a similar work ethic or whatever, who is like, yeah, I want to work at a place that respects the fact that I show up on time or whatever it might be. So that's
Yeah.
another usage of storytelling
Yeah.
is just building a good team of people who
I want to work
value the same
somewhere
things.
that will give me a stipend for taking my pogo stick to work instead of the bus.
You know, it's a really efficient mode of travel.
It is. And it's honestly super good workout.
Really
Good
good
for the
workout.
core.
Right.
That would be a
Yep.
great workout.
Yeah.
What about you, Trent? I feel like they're, kind of going through the layers of the different possible kind of zones of people that you could have advocate for you. Kind of who do you see as being the next sort of groupings or potential candidates to sit in the chair?
While I think about that answer, I want to reflect on kind of when you talk about the customers and experience too, like, or sorry, when you talk about the employees too, I want to circle back to that because I think that's a really powerful storytelling tool as well, right? And oddly enough, sometimes those become your customer stories,
Hmm.
like your employees, right? Like when they have that experience, that becomes that story that your customer shares online of that employee that then makes you that much better for your business. So that's why I really like that we went down that and are going in some of these tangents because all of this ultimately actually does kind of influence that customer story, either what their experience or what they're sharing online. And it is so important to make sure you have those good storytellers and build that team so that you can keep having those good stories go out. I think another important one too, when we talk about who's telling your story, who's helped telling the story of your business outside of you and yeah, outside of you, I think you're kind of business partners, right? I think
Hmm.
if you can have like suppliers or s- those end customers, again, we do a lot of like testimonials, but if you can have just random things come out, it can make a big difference too, right? I'm just thinking about some clothing companies or like a lot of the boutiques that we had. Could you imagine if like a major brand like Volcom or like Tentry or whatever these big ones are reaching out and actually telling the story about that business, how much that would help that boutique?
Hmm.
Like, I feel like that's a really powerful story there
Yeah.
too.
Like maker level, who is advocating for the retailer storefront space.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense also. That's all, and I think that's also pretty common, I guess, in some, again, in like some industries, right? cannabis industry. And
Mm-hmm.
like the Costco
Mm-hmm.
advocacy level, right? Where we've got the snacks and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely interesting, like where that kind of comes into play. I'm trying to
Yeah.
think of, I can't think of any clients that I've worked with that have used that, quite used that format.
The thing that came to my mind, and maybe it's a little bit tangentially related, but like the thing that comes to my mind is like I see a lot of designers on like Instagram or whatever, and they intentionally do like bad designs of something. And so there's someone, I think her name's Emily something, but she like takes like, oh, this company has a really bad design. Let me redo it for you. And she intentionally makes it like so much worse. But now all of these brands are going to her account and like, do us next, do us next. And it just like creates this buzz because she's created this like community of people where she's just kind of goofing off, but you can tell she's an actual good designer, but she's intentionally doing things badly. And she's just gotten all of this like this weird ecosystem where she's like talking to all these national brands about doing stuff
Well,
just from starting that on her channel.
and there's so many people that do that too. There's another one where she does, not bad, but she'll just like take inspiration, do different styles, and she actually got a deal with like the Tampa Bay Lightning,
Oh yeah, for
and
sports like
yeah, like
logos and
she for
stuff.
sports logos and stuff, and she's
Man.
just getting all of them, and she's actually getting deals out of it now, and they're doing special drops of her stuff. Like, think
Yeah.
about that. An artist that started on Instagram, just like, I'm gonna mess around and give you some new designs, or like reimagine what this could look like.
Right.
A company hires them, and they do special drops. Like, I'm not talking like, oh, this is just regular something they could put in there. Like, hey, this is a limited number, like a special, almost collector edition
Yeah.
Mhm.
from their designs. I'm like, think about that. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that shows how much that relationship can really help tell your story and build your brand out.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Because I think another good conversation where we can really help some small businesses with too is awesome. This makes sense. These are where these great storytellers are. But let's say they're not good at telling those stories themselves. How can you approach, or how can you work with these customers, partners, employees, and how can you make them look good on camera when giving these testimonials and telling that story?
How can we, like as filmmakers, how can
Or
we?
just as a
Or
business owner, right?
I
How
see.
can they take that, right? Like, if you don't have someone that can do
Mhm.
content creation themselves, and you're like, hey, I really love what you've done. You've said such great things about me. Will you be on video to talk about the company, talk about the impact we've had? How do you approach that? How do you get people comfortable? How would you, yeah, how can they take that on and be successful with it?
Yeah, it's so hard because it's like there's been so many businesses that I've worked with that are like, we want to do more testimonials, but people are just so unwilling to like get on camera and talk about it. They loved working with us. They loved what we did for them. They really just don't want to be on camera. And so I struggle like for those businesses, what I like to say to them is like, just let me go on site and film you guys working at that location. And then I'll just like build some rapport with, usually it's a trade business. So it's like, I'll build some rapport with the homeowner and make them feel comfortable with me kind of being in their space. And I have a camera, yeah, but like I'm a normal human being, like
Yeah.
not going to make you feel weird. And then usually from that, I start to build rapport because it's the camera guy thing that's really weird for people. And so we've tried to use that as a route for to get more people comfortable with sharing their story. Not because I'm pointing the camera at them, but I'm just like, hey, look at this amazing work, and oh, look at this shot that I have, or whatever it might be, just to get them more comfortable with that experience. So it's something I've tried in the
Yeah.
past with owners of just like get me in front of more of your customers so that they get more comfortable with the idea of a camera being there. Because I have had bad experiences where I was sent to a shoot, they didn't tell them that I was coming. And ever since then, I made a clause saying, you will tell the customer that I'm coming, otherwise I'm not going. And they were like, we've had really bad experiences with like news stations and whatever being here because our house was cool and it was like featured on some magazine and people just show up now. So like they were literally going to call the cops on us for showing up to this job site but we didn't know that. We just kind of showed up. So yeah, that's not a good way of doing it. Definitely make it a little bit more relational driven.
Yeah, no, I think you hit on a really great point of making it that relationship, right? Like, how do you show that it's value to them? Like, show them you're appreciative, right? Like, they're talking so much, they're saying so much about what they appreciate about you, and be like, hey, this would mean a lot to me. Don't just shove a camera in their face or your phone in their face. Really build up that of, hey, this would be a huge help to me, and like build that relationship, right? I think we all at some level want to help each other, and just give me like, hey, a great way you could help me would actually be just letting me turn my camera on and having you talk about it for like even 30 seconds
Mhm.
about why you like coming here. that is so important, right? Like you have to have that rapport. You can't just ask somebody, "Hey, it's the first time in this job. Awesome. Can you talk about what you like?"
Right.
I think another like problematic component of that phenomena where you're like asking people to come on camera for you
Mhm.
when they're employees, like we were discussing. So for one, like I completely advocate for the strategy and I think that it makes a ton of sense. And like the people that work for you are great people to have be on camera. Um, but for the love of God, please stop asking them to do it for free and stop making them do it on their lunch break
Mm.
and at telling them that they have to do it and it's a requirement and making it really uncomfortable for them. And it's just like, stop doing all that because you're like ruining it for yourself. You're ruining it for
Mhm.
yourself. And what happens is then when people like us get into the room with them, they do stuff like skip every third word from the teleprompter so that the footage is unusable, or they make
So this is deep rooted trauma experience for you
uh-huh.
is what
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
getting.
There's
Yeah,
a very
yeah.
specific
Oh,
reason like
wow.
why I'm saying it. So
Okay.
I worked for a company here locally in Everett, not very big company, but their methodology was send out an email and ask people to volunteer to do this. And so sent this email out asking people to volunteer for this absolutely massive video project that was multiple days of shooting and each person did multiple videos and like I mean, it was a lot. It was a
Wow.
lot. And my thought was that if you were asking me to email other employees to have them participate in something that is for work, that this would be a during their normal work hours activity. And there seemed to be a lot of confusion about that at the management level. And I'm not sure how
Mm.
you ask one employee to basically go and steal money and time from another employee. You know, that's like a really weird way to do business. So, if you're going to ask your employees to do this thing, please do it in a manner that is respectful of them and their time and their consideration.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about a way to springboard your culture in the bad way.
Right.
Just taking a pogo stick
Exactly.
right off the
Exact.
cliff.
I think we've done a good job and I appreciate the insight, the personal experience and the personal trauma too of when you go and ask, like your customers can be some of your most powerful storytellers,
Mhm.
right? And there's a lot of ways we talked about a lot of examples of how they can do that, and even your employees and other people that you work with, right? Like there's a lot of powerful storytellers beyond just you trying to do it as that spokesperson or that owner.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of ways to really lean into that and can make a huge difference. And I think it's also important what we talked about too of how to do that properly so that you actually get stuff that's usable and believable. Because it's also, I also feel like it's very easy if you don't prep someone, if you don't ask, "Hey, can I do this?" You're gonna get the ums. They're gonna look really upset the whole time while they're
Mhm.
doing it, and that doesn't
Yeah.
actually help you either.
Yeah.
No.
There's one more layer, I think, of possibilities there that we didn't touch on that
Okay.
is, I don't want to say common, but if you're having trouble getting people to come and advocate for you on camera, but you do have a more functional reviewer reputation strategy, like where you're collecting 5-star reviews either through Google or Facebook or
Hmm.
whatever mechanism you're doing that through. If you have those, which are not great as just text, right? You could convert those into video by
Mm.
just showing the text of them on screen and having
Yeah.
somebody read them as a voiceover and then saying, thanks, Craig H. or whatever. And there's another way you can very, very simply produce content from existing things you already have. You don't have to write any scripting or anything like that. You can just sit down with like a microphone like this, and the only video editing that's required is like going on to Canva and drag and dropping your cut and pasted clip of the review. I mean, it could be extremely basic, but you could convert something you already have into something to speak to for you. Is that like legitimately like advocacy? I don't
Mhm.
know that I feel like it is without this person being there, like to
Yeah.
speak to it. I don't know how I feel about that component of it. But if you need a way to show these reviews in a manner that is not just, hey, here's some text on a page, this is totally a strategy that you can use.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that. And it's even simpler than you don't need as fancy a microphone as this. You
Oh,
can literally
no.
use your phone
Yeah,
and just
use your
record it
iPhone.
over. They have that now, I think, in even just Instagram, right?
Hmm.
Like you can just
Mhm.
literally
Oh, yeah, I
record
think
your
so.
voiceover. So it can be as simple as that, right? Like
Hmm.
Okay, if you're gonna use your phone to record audio, please, for the love of everything, don't talk into it like this because all the plosives will
Mm.
destroy the quality of the sound. Please hold it
Jessica.
like this. so that you're not talking directly into
The way that the
microphone.
phone thinks you're going to talk to it.
Right. Talking
Right.
to it how the phone thinks you
Yeah.
will. Because I've had some people record on their phones and it was very plosive is like the PT, all the like
Yeah.
powerful, like you expel a lot of air when you do that. And that will just not be good for the
Yeah.
microphone. I was gonna do that into the microphone just for you, Trent, but I
Look
decided
on
not
Trent's
to.
face.
It's okay. It's funny because as you're saying plosives and all that,
Was it
uses
doing it?
And I'm hearing them.
Nice.
So it's like,
Amazing.
oh yeah.
Well, there's a good live demo of what a plosive is.
Luckily,
You should mark it in the video.
No,
Yeah.
luckily
It's gonna look like a
everyone.
little pogo stick jumping up and down.
Luckily, there's a lot of good editing software and a lot of the simple stuff that's on your phones now will get rid of that plosives. Like again, if it's extreme talking into, like you said, I agree. There's some of it you're not going to be able to,
Yeah.
but if you get a few in there, you won't notice it. Like most people listening to this will probably have no idea because it'll
Right.
just all kind of
Smooth it out.
So this was talking about how you can use your customers to really be your best storytellers, and we went beyond that too of talking of customers, suppliers, a lot of different avenues, employees. Thank you, employees, and just how you can do it, and also when you decide who you want to go after, how you can do it respectfully in a way that's actually going to help engage and build your brand and not just make things worse or give the wrong impression. So any final words on this one?
You can only jump so high by telling your own story, but having the customers do it for you will really add that spring to send you to new heights.
Just pogo you into a new realm.
Oop.
Anything else?
Nope.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.